Hey guys, my name's Khadroth, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about everything you need to know for the upcoming anniversary on NA. First things first, we did actually get a notification of NA's actual anniversary date, which is the 25th. We will be getting our limited login bonus courts. It's going to basically be 30 courts for you guys, and that's going to actually start at reset on the night of the 25th. So again, pretty much 25th going into the 26th there should be when we actually get the resources. So don't freak out if it's not immediately there when you guys first log in. Again, this is usually when NA actually celebrates its anniversary, but the sort of like campaigns and everything are delayed until Anime Expo. They do this pretty much every year. This is a couple of reasons why, due to one, our date just is the date that we actually started, but two is they oftentimes, I feel like that about like weekish delay there, because that week allows them to kind of build in a little bit more buffer and move the date closer to JP's anniversary, which usually results in less scheduling turmoil, because that is one of the reasons that we have early crunch in the schedule on NA for events, is usually due to the NA anniversary needing to shift things. Now, just again, if you want a TLDR of everything you guys can gain as of anniversary, this is going to be the amount that you guys will actually get. So there's a whole lot that that you guys can get in terms of rewards for this anniversary. It's not going to be the most lucrative one we've ever gotten, but it certainly won't be a bad one. And you guys will be able to get some nice rewards, assuming that you've been playing the game, doing your milestones, again, your advanced quests, things like that, your free quests that have unlocked, keeping up to date on story, all that's going to factor in. Make sure you guys are doing that stuff. I actually have an entire video on everything you guys can be doing to prep for anniversary in that regard, so make sure you guys go check that one out. I will put a link in the video for that. And then from there, we do know that the actual panel for anniversary and when they'll be doing the live stream, I'll be covering it here for you guys on Twitch, YouTube, Kick, Twitter, pretty much everywhere. But again, this should be the actual panel timing. It's going to be Saturday, July 5th at 1:30 p.m. West Coast time. So that's going to be 4:30 p.m. Eastern time if you're somebody in my time zone. So that'll probably be, I'll be live probably a little bit before that to actually cover the panel with you guys and talk a lot about it. But again, it should be a really big and monumentous occasion. It's FGO's 8th anniversary on NA, and pretty much later next month, we should be getting the JP anniversary, which that'll actually be JP's 10th anniversary. So that's going to be a big one as well. So we got a whole lot to look forward to in FGO over the next month here, kind of coming in hot. Now, with regards to the actual anniversary and everything you guys need to know, there is a pre-release campaign. We should be getting news of that here shortly. Again, just some nice stuff like Stargazer's teapots, your embers, your QP, everything here that you can kind of want from that. There will also be a start dash campaign for new players. You guys know I've been working on a new player walkthrough. This is an amazing time to start the game. You're just going to get way more rewards if you do start during this. There's also a limited time comeback campaign for anybody that may have quit and is looking to kind of return. Again, you can see there's going to be some My Room updates, nothing too crazy about it, and yeah, they basically gave a commemoration on JP for the final episode of Fujimaru Ritsuka Doesn't Get It, or Doesn't Understand, if you've heard that. Besides that, we do have memorial quests. These are actually going to be something you'll definitely want to do, at least up until the point that you get the second ticket. Again, I think all of them are worth it. There's some nice rewards here, including a command code. So to me, get them all done, especially because you should have plenty of time. But the tickets that you guys will get, and I'm not talking about the summoning tickets, I'm talking about these craft essence tickets. They're going to be how you get the memorial CEs for this anniversary. Again, I highly recommend it. There's a lot to choose from, and definitely some of these may be more to your liking, some may not. Obviously, I can make suggestions, but at the end of the day, the choice is yours. You can pick 2 of these and only 2. But again, that is something to look forward to in that regard. They don't really give anything. They're just kind of commemorative. They're not really worth it otherwise. The memorial quests here, as we mentioned, they're not going to be too difficult. They're just kind of rehashing some prior fights that you guys have already faced. So it is what it is. There'll be a couple of little rewards there, some from 2016 and 2017, but nothing too crazy. Again, just a listing of the anniversary Cs here is all we've got on this. There are some requirements that you will have to complete. I did talk about that in the prior video. So clearing Fiyuki would be all you would need to get the majority of them, but some of them have more robust requirements, as you guys can see. And basically, the big ones that I told people to watch out for were the ones for Oku and Imaginary Scramble. You must complete the main interlude for those two craft essences, respectively. Not the original version of the event. You have to do the main interlude. Again, full stop. You must do the main interlude if you wish to choose either of those CEs. So if you haven't done that and you want one of those two, again, it is the Kama CE and the Yang CE are going to be the two that are going to be locked behind that. So if you want either of those two, make sure you guys go get your main interludes done. There was a high score damage thing released at the time. I can assume that there will be one live at Anime Expo where they're doing it, but there will also probably be one in game basically for us during this time period of anniversary. There's nothing to it. It's just bragging rights, so feel free to take your chance at it. There is actually no reward for doing it otherwise, so totally up to you. We will also have a pre-campaign here, probably for Moriarty and Da Vinci, though I do feel like things like this could certainly change. There's no requirement for them to do it. This is a relatively generic one, but it does include some prior anniversary stuff in it. And you can see there is at least a like separate set of banners, like one for each of them. So nothing too much to write home about, but something to at least know. This was also back then on JP when they put the part 6 of the soundtrack on sale. I would love if they maybe did something more on the NA side for this sort of thing, but it is what it is. And they did tease the summer units, which obviously I'll have a lot to say about in the future, but I can assume that they will go over this during the stream. But besides that, it's just, you know, again, more news of upcoming stuff rather than anything actually like impacting you. So then we get to the 10 great campaigns. Now, again, anniversary is usually about a 2-week affair, a little bit less in this case. I believe it's around 12 days. So obviously you're not going to have infinite time to get all this stuff done, but you really are going to want to try to take advantage of these great campaigns. So the first one here is just your standard login bonus. It's going to have a cumulative one as well here. So this is going to be in addition to all the like pre-campaign stuff and everything, but you guys are going to basically get even more rewards, including 10 summoning tickets, a bond grail, a rare prism, and a crystallized lore. So really, really nice stuff, including teapots, bows, and everything. So definitely really nice in that regard. Your second campaign here is the Destiny Order summoning campaign. I would say you could expect this to change, but this was actually the primary like big thing that got revealed at Anni 8 on JP. NA has just gotten this earlier as we had it for our last anniversary. So it won't be new with this one, but they'll probably still include it in their list of campaigns. But they may take it out and replace it with something else. I'm not going to say that that means that you wouldn't get Destiny Order. You will. Just that they may choose to assign a campaign to something else. I don't know. But irregardless, you're going to get the Destiny Order. I'll talk a little bit about that when we get to the GSSR section, but for now, we're going to gloss over it. There's also the Lucky Bag Summoning Campaign. This is your GSSR. If you don't know what GSSR is a guaranteed SSR unit summon, so this is going to be a guaranteed 5-star. And it's going to be really nice, but the issue at play with both this and Destiny Order are that they both require you to use paid courts. That's going to be a little bit iffy for some people because some people definitely want to play the game free to play. I'm going to say again, the bang for your buck on both of these is that it is really good, but if you don't want to spend any money on the game, there's no harm in skipping it. It's just this has a whole lot of value. In fact, this has far more value than if you were just normally rolling and buying packs. The next campaign here is going to be the limited master missions. As you guys can see, you are going to get some festival themed missions and again, some stuff for the main quest clear as well as the class score unlock. This is really, really nice. You're going to get quartz from this. This was included in that spreadsheet that we showed at the beginning, where there's going to just be a ton of things that you guys can actually get benefit from, but it's going to admittedly be difficult if you've waited all the way until anniversary to do some of this. But still, you guys can see some things just like clearing a quest with Billy the Kid, or with Hozuin, or with Hassan, or with Kiyohime, or Ku Caster, or Ibaraki Doji. There's one for Shakespeare, Matahari, Paris, and Mozart, as well as Darius, Duryodhana, or Iskandar, and then Salome for the last one there. For main quest progression, you guys can see it's clear any Arc 1, Arc 2, or 2.5, which is your ordeal call, main story quest X times. This is retroactive, so if you've already like cleared all the way to full, you're currently caught up, you've cleared ordeal call 1, you'll just get all these rewards. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to incentivize you to clear more quests if you're not caught up. So that is something to understand, that they will kind of force you to progress a little bit here as a means of just getting people to complete more story. That's something to be aware of. Again, you guys can see there are basically the number of missions and nodes you would have to complete. So if you're not all the way caught up on story, yeah, you might legitimately have to do a full 24 missions in order to get all of this, but again, that is their goal, to just get people to actually get caught up. But it's only if you've cleared every main quest would you get retroactive inclusion. And it also, they did put in a note here, it does not include Heian Kyo from Epic of Remnant or the main interlude. So those things are just kind of considered extra. They want you actually progressing the main story, as it does matter and pertain to, again, the game. And at least here they're going to give you an incentive for 15 quartz to unlock one class score sign. Now, again, this is also going to be something that's going to be like retroactive and even into the future. So if you're somebody that like you haven't gotten through LB7 yet, you haven't done the Ordeal Call prologue yet, you can still get this in the future. But they're trying to tell you, hey, make sure that you actually do this eventually, and we'll give you 15 quartz. So it's really, really nice that they're doing it. They just want you to unlock it. You don't even have to necessarily do anything with it. But that is the idea behind it, is at least unlock one sign, and then we'll just give you 15 free quartz for that. And next up here, we have the extra mission update. This is basically just going to include things like your milestones for progressing further. So clearing Trom, clearing LB7, both the first and the second half here will get you an additional 30 quartz. Also, if you do more servant strengthening quests that they've released into the game, up to a maximum of 290. Some of you guys, you may have every unit in the game and you may be capable of doing all of this. Others just won't necessarily have enough servants to hit some of these numbers, so some of these quartz may not be something you can get depending on your account status. Just keep that in mind. Again, this is going to be more of a like, hey, they're just increasing the cap, so that eventually if you do get that many servants and you do strengthen them all, you'll be good. But this does require you to have actually done that many strengthening quests. There's also an update to the interludes milestone, but they haven't done very many interludes, so they just upped it to 270, and there's another 10 quartz for that. The free quests are basically, again, the main story map's free quests, and you guys can see those go up to 270 as well now, which is kind of crazy. We have more free quests than we do story interludes at that point. But basically, you get another 30 potentially from that, so that's something that you absolutely can get. And then there are ones for clearing advanced quests. This is why I tried to warn you guys. Basically, every 3 advanced quests, you are going to get 9 quartz. So roughly 3 quartz per advanced quest. I highly recommend you get off your ass and do your advanced quests. I know nobody really cares for them too much. People don't want to spend the time on it, but it's a lot of quartz. Again, it is retroactive, so if you don't want to do it now, you can get it later. But my advice, if you've got nothing better to do, go ahead and get them done. That way you don't ever have to touch them again, and you'll just get some really, really nice quartz rewards from this. There's also going to be milestones for class score unlocks now. So not just unlocking the actual like class score itself, but now actually investing in it and using the signs. Again, as you guys can see here, up to 100 signs, you can get even more quartz from this. Basically every 10 signs you get 3 more quartz. So this is just their way of saying, hey, you know, keep doing your storm pods every day, get that stardust, and keep unlocking class score stuff, and we'll benefit from it. So really, really, really nice in that regard. So a lot of the quartz rewards here for you in campaign 5. Campaign 6, we're going to be looking at the Bleached Earth quest being half cost, all daily quests being half cost, and all of them being available, as well as a 3 times great and super success rate. So all of these are really, really, really nice. Again, I think we've talked about it at least some, but it may not have been something I mentioned on YouTube, but we have actually gotten the sort of like during events, the half cost Bleached Earth nodes. So that's really a nice quality of life that came early to NA. It was not out at release for JP. So Bleached Earth nodes were just perpetually 40 AP, and it really ate into people's available AP per day, particularly during events. We've already gotten that, and definitely now you're going to get it here during the anniversary, so take advantage of it. Make sure you guys are doing your storm pods every day. It's the only way you're going to advance your class score, and class score in a weird way is super nice because it enhances not just like one unit. It's not like you leveling up a skill. It's you leveling up your entire class. So I highly recommend at least advancing in it. I've had multiple people ask me like, hey, what can I do on this front? Like, what should I pick? You can go check out any of my videos, but honest to God, my TLDR advice for you is it doesn't really matter. Just pick something. You can't really go wrong. And JP has kind of given us an ability, at least at this point now, to be able to potentially reset class score. So I don't think you need to worry about this too much. Just go ahead and invest in something and have at it. For campaign number 7 here, this is an update to the Mana Prism exchange shop. I talked about this in the prep video, but this is a super important update, particularly for new players. If you're a veteran like me from back in the day, you have a ton of craft essences that newer players cannot have. They physically were not around at that time period to get the craft essence, and maybe the rerun already happened or there was no rerun, and they've just never had the opportunity to get some of them. Starting here and into the future, we're going to get updates that bring some of those old event craft essences back. And some of them are really good. You can already see my chat talking about it. It's just one of those deals where it's a really, really nice thing to have an option for some of these, because some of them are just super valuable to your account. And it's so nice to see FGO taking care of its newer players with this in mind. The problem is, well, yes, these 7 in particular are going to be available at first here. The issue is you're still going to need 5,000 mana prisms per. So that's something to really watch out for. If you're new in your account, you don't have a whole lot of mana prisms, may not be the best use of them right up front. There's plenty of things you need mana prisms on for a new account, particularly those monthly tickets and various other things like foes and stuff. So you're gonna have to be a little bit careful with how you spend mana prisms. But yeah, there's definitely some standouts here, particularly Golden Sumo here. This one is a stellar one to pick up for people, but even then you also have invuln PRCs like Decapitating Bunny here, as well as, again, even just School of Chaldea in general being a pretty nice one for healing. So I think each one of these Cs, look at their effects, judge it for yourself as to which ones to go with. My immediate recommendations, Golden Sumo, but there are plenty here that you can actually make do with and get some good value out of. Just, again, watch out for your priorities on mana prisms. Again, there will also be additions to the Mana Prism exchange, but only if you've cleared Ordeal Call's prologue. So once you've cleared Ordeal Call, you can then start buying Faux Paw Prints every month, as well as a set of golden foes with your Mana Prisms. This is, again, really nice. The problem at play is going to be the cost of buying your monthly stuff from the Mana Prism shop starts to get really expensive. If you're somebody that's not sitting on a horde of Mana Prisms like I am, this is going to be something you're really going to have to evaluate. I have an entire video talking about Mana Prism shop priorities for you and everything that's in it. Highly recommend checking that out if you're, you know, kind of stuck or not able to make a decision on regards to this and whether or not you should be buying it every month. But again, this is a really, really nice update, especially for those of us that have a ton of Mana Prisms lying around. This is just more resources that our account gets, particularly those gold foes and faux paw prints that take forever to kind of get naturally. On top of that, we are also getting a change to the gacha. This is going to be a benefit to everybody that rolls. However, the benefit is technically not going to be created equal. That is to say, whales will ironically enough benefit from this more than free-to-plays. The change is going to be that for every multi you do in the quartz summoning, you will now gain 5 Mana Prisms. It doesn't sound like a lot, but again, if you consider people that roll a ton, they're going to actually get quite a bit of Mana Prisms naturally from this. But if you're a free-to-play, you're only going to get it when you actually spend your quartz. So it's better than nothing, but it will admittedly hamstring you since free-to-play players just generally aren't going to roll as much as someone that's like a whale. So it is what it is. It's a nice change. It's just more Mana Prisms for you across the board, but some people, unfortunately, will be getting even more. Yes, sorry. One addition to that is 50 Mana Prisms per multi. It's 5 per summon. So just a clarification there. And again, that's just going to be something that, hey, it's just going to be nice to get, but obviously this will be a change that will impact some people both positively and at least maybe annoyingly, where, yeah, it's just a net positive, but they may be annoyed that they're not getting more. One additional update, summon tickets do not generate Mana Prisms, so be careful about that, but it is what it is. All right, now for campaign number 8. This is basically just a permanent half cost to LB7 at that point on. So really, everything up to 7 will be half cost. So really a nice thing that they're adding is just going to make it so that people can catch up easier. If you're somebody that's kind of been sitting on the fence and waiting, you know, again, anniversary is a good time to actually get some grinding done, but it's also a good time to potentially catch up on story. So with it being permanently half cost as of this point, all the way up to LB7, it's definitely going to be a nice thing. They'll also be adding back more sort of blue cubes, blue prisms, spirit vein stones, however you want to call them. These are the sort of crystallized version of command seals that allow you to revive the entire party and continue again. They're just adding them temporarily back to the shop for you to be able to get some. And it just is what it is. You're also going to get some from logging in. But at the end of the day, if you're already caught up a story, it's not something you have to care about. If you aren't, this is your golden ticket in effect to maybe cheese some of the fights that have otherwise given you some trouble. For campaign number 9, we are getting a permanent storage and second archive expansion. The second archive ones you will have to purchase via the DaVinci shop for Mana Prisms, but the just normal storage increase will happen for everybody. You won't have to do anything for that. Just an additional 100 slots to your servant and craft essence category and 50 more to your command code category, as well as, again, additionally 100 more slots each for servants and craft essences in your second archive. And then last but not least, campaign number 10 here is going to be our strengthenings. I will also talk about these at the end of the video. Other than that, your other campaigns here, just kind of mentioning it briefly, you're going to have Aesc the Savior, aka Tonalico, coming in as your new limited SSR. This is basically going to end up being your AoE caster that is a buster unit. She's got a lot of charge capability in her kit. She hits really, really hard, and it's definitely one of those things that I'm going to say she's not a gotta have, but everybody should be paying attention to this unit. She's a very, very strong unit. If you're somebody that's still looking forward towards summer and stuff, she is actually a summer unit, but definitely some people wait for the summer banners proper and maybe have their eyes set on other units. That being said, Ace the Savior is a fantastic AoE caster unit across the board. You can go check out my video on her as well, talking about everything you need to know and how to work her. But even now, down the line on JP, with things like the 5th Append coming into the game, she has actually gotten even better. So there's definitely food for thought there as to whether or not you should be rolling for her. You will get a trial quest for her in that regard, and this will give you 1 ticket, so feel free to mess around with her in that and try to push her to her limits. You'll also be getting a secondary refresh of the Da Vinci Workshop, both for mana prisms and rare prisms. If you don't know what that means, you get a monthly reset already on these things. This will be a second upping of it in addition. So what that means is that you can just purchase both the anniversary edition and the normal edition of these materials. So basically everything in the shop is just back again a second time, even if you didn't already buy the first set. Same deal with the Rare Prism shop. There's also going to be a permanent update to the Rare Prism shop, basically for certain craft essences. If you have used a Rare Prism to exchange to unlock them, if you have cleared certain story thresholds, you will get that Rare Prism back. So it's really, really nice now as they've pretty much gone through and made just about every single one of the craft essences available in the Rare Prism shop having a story clear condition that would exempt you from the Rare Prism cost. This will be retroactive, so if you've ever purchased it in the past, again, you're going to get that Rare Prism back. So it's really going to be nice for some people that have had to pay to unlock these over time. You're just going to get some nice refunds in that regard. And then for the game update, this is when we got the 20% starting member bonus. So again, it basically is just allowing it so that the front 3 units are going to be the ones that get plus 20% extra bond. Now, I criticized this when it came out, saying that what I actually felt like they should have done should have been that they should have applied this maybe to the backline, the units that are 1, closer to master, and 2, in general, that's usually who the player is actually wanting to bond. Instead, this is bonding the characters that you're using constantly, like your meta supports, your big damage dealer, and it's like, those are usually the ones you don't want to bond faster because you want them efficiency-wise to last a little bit longer. But admittedly, it is what it is. It's I'm not going to say a good or a bad thing, but it's definitely something where I noticed the devs were kind of maybe trying to push us towards bonding faster. And in the anniversary interviews, they actually admitted this. So I do think this is something that at least you should be careful of and be cognizant of, but it's not a inherently bad thing. And again, at least knowing what we know now on JP with the bond overflow mechanic that they've put in, not everything's going to be a wash. If your unit ends up bond 15, you will have the ability in the future to at least get some value out of that. So to me, this is still okay as far as that goes. Just a little bit of a understanding of it. It's just the front 3 members are again going to get that 20% extra bond bonus. It's going to stack with other forms of bond bonus. Order changing a unit away is not going to change anything because it's who's there at the beginning of battle. And then basically everything else, like I said, it will stack on top of it. And if you put a support servant in the front row, somebody that like isn't yours, like an NPC support or a friend support, they will basically instead it will become 4% extra bond bonus for the entire party. So that's at least nice. This will allow you to potentially bond a little bit of the back line, and that's something that you can kind of take advantage of. So try to make sure you have, if you're worried about the bonding rate of the front line, try to make sure you have the support unit in the front line with you so that they take up one of the slots and confer some of it to the back line. For here as well, this is also when we got the servant list filter function for rarity as well as class groups. It's definitely a little bit nicer as it allows you to kind of like just have a little bit of a like kind of, I'm not gonna say cheat, but like just a kind of like faster way of selecting an entire group rather than just one. Same deal for the extra classes. And then we also got updates to the extra missions that now they'll actually, if they involve a class for things like, say, the tutorial missions and stuff like that, you'll actually have the class logo displayed on the mission board. Really difficult to see, but if you actually zoom in on the picture there, it is very much so just like kind of imprinted in the background of the actual card for the mission. Now again, the summoning campaigns, like we already mentioned, we're going to get Aesc there. She basically is going to come with 3 new craft essences, that they're not rate up craft essences. They're just going to be general pool. There's no rate up craft essence for Aec's banner, and that is interesting nonetheless. But the new craft essences, the only one to me that's actually kind of notable is going to be Chasmatis. This one is all attack scaling. It has starting charge and NP overcharge as well as NP gain. Maybe not the best craft essence in the world, but if you needed an overcharge C with some starting charge, it's not terrible. We're also going to have the Sheep of Orleans getting added and 8 Forged Bloodline. These are kind of updates to existing craft essences. Sheep of Orleans is going to be an update to the Maid of Orleans one that applied debuff immunity. Now it'll also have arts up on top of it. So just a additional interesting thing there. And sorry, yeah, those are the rate of craft essences that we had for this. So that's another one there. Summoning campaign number 2 is going to be a laundry list of rare units. You've got the Trung Sisters, Tamamo Lancer, Constantine, Space Ishtar, Kyra no Kagekiyu, Super Bunyan, Van Gogh, Frankenstein Saber, Saito Hajime, Calamity Jane, Mysterious Alter Ego Lambda, Daiko Kuden, Ushi Wakamaru, and Sei Shonagon Berserker, all on rate up. And each one of the SSRs is going to have a 4-star pairing with them, basically. As we go down the list there, you can actually see. So definitely nice. We're gonna have the same rate ups that we had on the first one. So honestly, this sort of banner is always going to be in the eye of the beholder. If you want or really need one of these units, you can feel free to go after them. Definitely a decent time to do so, but keep in mind that you do have obviously other considerations like summer coming up. So if you're kind of riding high on the big pile of quartz you got from Anniversary, just keep in mind you might want to save rather than just blow your load. Okay, so now let's go ahead and let's talk about our lucky bag here. So the lucky bag is your GSSR. This is normally where most players will actually spend their money if they spend any. You get a GSSR every year twice. So you're gonna get one at the anniversary and you're gonna get one at New Year's. And this one is interesting because it's gonna be 12 banners divided by 2 groups of 9 female and 3 male, sorted in order of release. So it's going to be another one that's kind of like divided by year. 5-star servants will be random limited servants based off the pool of servants on the banner, and 4-star units will be guaranteed. At least you will have one guaranteed 4-star unit among the limited and story units that are available in that pool. The pools are shared though between the same gender categories. So what that means is if you're rolling on one of the female banners, there will be a female pool of 4-star and 3-star servants available. Same deal if you're rolling the male banners, there will be a 4-star and 3-star pool of male units. Okay, so first up here, your first pool is going to be the July 30th through July 29th, basically of 2020 to 2021. And again, these are JP dates, so basically add 2 years and that should give you the answer. So this is going to be 2022 through 2023. This is going to include Castoria, Himiko, Kiara Moon Cancer, and Abby Summer as well. This one, I think a lot of people are going to roll here purely for the chance at Castoria. I don't blame anybody for that. Obviously, there is a lot of value in getting Castoria for your account. If you feel the need and the desire to, feel free to go for it. Picking her up here might save you quite a bit of rolling in the future. And then definitely the other units on that one are not awful. The next one here is going to be 2023 through 2024. And this one is going to be Ibuki, Saber, Taira no Kagekyu, Doman, and Van Gogh. So this one's a little bit more of a mixed bag, but I do think depending on who you're after here, there could be some good value. Van Gogh is obviously a fantastic challenge unit. Taira is a boss murderer and very survivable unit. And Doman is just a really, really good unit that has an entire system unto himself. Ibuki's not bad either, so I think this one can be a decent option for some people. All right, so for the next one, we've got a pool of Melisande, Miss Crane, Morgan Le Fay, and Karen. This one's actually a ridiculously good pool. Some people are going to look at this like, oh, you know, like it's got Miss Crane in here. She's kind of the dud. But even still, Miss Crane is actually a really useful like challenge support for being able to rotate the party without killing someone. And she's also going to be able to do it without you having to use Plug Suit or in addition to using Plug Suit. So she's not the miss here that I think a lot of people would probably think. But you've got literally 3 other really strong characters. Melisande's obviously fantastic, and a lot of people know that by now for a lot of your Lancer needs. Morgan is a fantastic berserker just for either AoE capability, 50% charge, or working in the invincible / immortal comp. And then Karen is honestly, at least until summer, the game's strongest AoE ruler. And even with Summer in perspective, there's times where she's still the strongest AoE ruler. So at that point, you have to look at this like, yeah, there is really not a miss here. Miss Crane probably is the least important of these 4, but she's still a good pickup, and the other 3 options here are just loaded. Your next pool is actually going to be Okitan Saber, Koyenskaya, and Summer Kama. So Summer Kama Venger here. This is also a really, really stacked pool. And again, there's only 3 options. This one, I can't even really say you haven't done. Obviously, if you already had a Koyenskaya here, this would maybe not be the best pickup, but even still, you could also use Koyenskaya as the actual damage dealer, and it would definitely benefit you. So getting any of these 3 could potentially really help your account. Okitan Saber is a fantastic quick looping with Black Grail AoE Saber, and then Kama Venger is just a fantastic hard-hitting, charm effective AoE Arts Avenger, so a lot of value there. Your next grouping here, maybe not quite as high value as some of the others, but sneakily good as well. You've got Izumo no Okuni, really good single target caster. You've got Jack de Molay, who's still a very capable 50% charging AoE quick curse-centric foreigner that can also charge the party. And then you've got another AoE foreigner as a buster unit with 30% party charge and overcharge. And again, animal characteristic traits rolling around here with Koyenskaya of Darkness. So this one's also a pretty decent one, especially if you maybe were like trying to get your hands on Koyenskaya of Darkness, but you didn't really want to roll. Could definitely be of value to you. The next pool, I think this next pool is a little bit more hit or miss, and this one's going to really depend on how you view the individual units. For me personally, none of these units are bad, but I think some people might find some of these units to be maybe not what they desired or who they were after. Obviously, you've got units here like Bazette that are just fantastic and insanely strong and capable, and also the Trung sisters that have a lot of capability as both a damage dealer and a supportive unit. I think both those two are probably the top traction here, but Bakin and Super Bunyan are not bad in their own right. They're maybe just overshadowed in their class by a couple of other units. So the choice is yours if you want to go after this one. Your next one here is another insanely stacked pool. This one is Ibuki Doji Berserker, who's an AoE 50% charging Arts Berserker. You've got Summer Scotty here, which is going to be sort of the enhanced version of Scotty. Very similar kit, but a little bit more offensive minded. And at that point, that's definitely going to be good for, you know, kickstarting a quick system on your account if you don't have one. You've got Arcuid, who's just a really, really good 100% charging AoE Buster Moon Cancer, and then also can charge the party after her NP. And then you also end up having Proto Merlin, who just works perfectly for either challenge environments or being a part of like something like the Invincible / Immortal comp there, as she can kind of just allow it to work in an arts format. And I do think that this one, you really can't go wrong with this. Like, no matter who you get, if you don't have any of these units, this one is fantastic. Your next pool here is going to be Burrito Mart, Huyan Zhou, Sendo Rikyu, and Cuckoo. Cuckoo. So, sorry, too many servants all at once. My brain's having recall issues. But basically, this one, I'd say this one's a little bit more of a mixed bag. To me, the actual breadwinners here are probably going to be Cuckoo and Sendo Rikyu. Sendo Rikyu is actually again, Black Grail looping AoE quick berserker. A lot of people kind of undervalue her. She's really, really capable. And then obviously Cuckoo is just absolutely insane when it comes to damage output as an AoE Buster Foreigner. So a lot of people really like her and really want to get their hands on her. There's a lot of topics of discussion about her this year because of that. And that's not to say that Huyan Zhou or Burrito Mart here are bad options either. They are just not nearly as strong as the other two. They are both very serviceable and capable units in their own respective classes. Both of them are AoE quick units, but again, the choice is yours if you want to go after this one. And then the last female pool here is going to be Medusa Saber, Durga, the Popes Johanna, and then Tiamat. And this one, in the same degree as like the prior one, nobody here is bad, but there are some standouts. Tiamat is obviously ridiculously strong. And then depending on account needs, the other three here can be really good for you and really broken in their own respective classes and capabilities. I think Popes Johanna is maybe the weakest of these four, but even then she actually has quite a bit of supportive capability and can work as a really good like damage dealer and looper herself, or as a like support unit to kind of power somebody else's loop. And then your 4-star units, you've got a whole lot here. Frankly speaking, to me, the standouts are obviously going to be your LB6 characters, your summer characters. These are going to be the ones that people maybe have their eye on. Units like Creamhild as well, that are maybe a little bit harder to otherwise get. But yeah, I think the lineup for females is definitely going to be good. And since you're guaranteed to get at least one 4-star here, and I say at least one 4-star, that 4-star could become a 5-star, so it is what it is. But yeah, it's like, I do think there's a lot of value in that. Now, looking at the male banners here, again, you can see we do have some flex units. So your first male banner is going to include Muramasa, Taira no Kagekyo, and Doman. That one's definitely not a bad one. Muramasa is fantastic as an AoE arts looping saber. He is sort of like a Swiss Army knife. He can do just about anything in any situation. So he works really, really well. And honestly, his damage is his only concern, but his damage, because he can Black Rail loop, is not bad. And then Taira, as we already mentioned, can be a really good survivalist type cockroach unit. She can be a boss killer for you. And Doman himself is an AoE quick alter ego that has quite a bit of capability for buffing chaotic evil units, including himself. So double Doman comps are definitely a thing that he can work with. And he also has Death Proc in his kit. Next up here for the next pool, we start to get a little bit wider. Now, some of you may like a wider pool. For me personally, in a GSSR, the smaller the pool is, the better. The bigger the pool is, the worse it is. I would prefer instead a smaller pool because you have a less randomness to it. So this one is a 5-unit pool. We've got Charlemagne, Sakamoto, Ryoma, Lancer, and then Constantine as a rider here, and then Moriarty, Ruler, and Oberon. I think we know why they did this. They loaded this one up purely because it has Oberon. They did him dirty. They didn't want you to easily get an Oberon. Oberon is the breadwinner here. He's absolutely the best unit. He's the unit you should be going after if you don't have him. He's absolutely fantastic. As for where he stands, I'd probably go after units like, Castoria or something first, but Oberon is a very close second and very, very good for a lot of accounts, and just in terms of charge capability and damage amplification. He's a fantastic unit. The other ones here, I'm not going to say there's a, like standout necessarily. A bunch of them are not bad. Moriarty Ruler's not bad. Ryoma's gotten some buffs. Same thing with Charlemagne. To me, the standout in a bad way is actually Constantine. He's gotten a buff that's helped him out a lot, but he's still probably not the one that most people want to get here, so he's kind of the dud in the group at the moment. And then your last male group here is going to be Takasugi Shinsaku, as well as our man Tez, and then obviously the sussy priest himself, Grigory Rasputin. So Rasputin is honestly a really good challenge unit, but don't expect to use him too much for farming capability. Takasugi doesn't, to me, stand out too much right now. I believe he's arguably one of the worst SSR archers, and I don't think he's bad. He just doesn't really have a niche of his own at the moment, and most of the other archers out damage him. So to me, aside from his cooldown and crit stuff that he can do, I feel like most of the other options are just better. The standout to me here, though, is going to be Tez. Tez actually facilitates quite a bit from a challenge standpoint, quite a bit from a farming standpoint, and quite a bit from a supportive standpoint. He is an all-rounding type of unit. He does a whole lot of things, and that's going to be one of the reasons why I think he's kind of the breadwinner of this group. He's really, really solid. I highly recommend him if you don't already have him. He's a fantastic unit. Though admittedly, some of you guys may already have the Valkyrie welfare, and it may not be a big deal for you. With regards to the 4-star and 3-star servants pool, I think this is another maybe mixed bag here. You've got some rare units like Canis in here. You've got the absolute GOAT himself, Don Quixote. But I think, aside from this, maybe if people didn't roll, they could get a chance at Duryodhana or Percival. But I think realistically, this group is okay. There's not a huge oh my god, I'm so glad I got this type of unit here, other than honestly maybe Percival. But even then, I feel like this group is just kind of middling, at least with regards to what could have been available. And that's going to end up being your GSSR. Now, in order to roll the GSSR, you have to have premium currency. It's going to require 15 premium Saint Courts. So again, premium equals paid. So you need to have at least paid Saint Courts. What does that mean with regards to purchasing a pack? Whenever you purchase a pack, there is a portion of the pack that is paid, and there's a portion that is bonus. Bonus courts is considered free courts, not paid. So be very careful about that. Make sure that you actually get the amount that you need, enough for your GSSR. Don't kind of swindle yourself by buying a smaller pack and then having to buy another pack on top of that. So check out the amount that you're going to get. Make sure you read, but you need 15 to do the GSSR. Now, next up, we have the Destiny Order campaign. This one is a big one. This one is similar to a GSSR. We already got this in a prior anniversary, so a lot of you guys should already be familiar with it, but just in case I've got some new people, or there's people trying to kind of get into the game here, the Destiny Order campaign and what this does is, this is like a pick your own GSSR. You can pick 9 different 5-star servants to slot in to your sort of loadout. And you're going to have one of each of the 7 base classes and then one each for the groupings of the extra classes. You pick 1 unit for each of those and slot them in, and you're guaranteed to get one of those 9 units. There's no guarantee as to which one you'll get, but it will be one of the 9 that you choose. So in that regard, you at least get to control what you could be spooked by. Maybe it's you don't get the one you want, but at least you got somebody that you had slotted in. So in that regard, the Destiny Order summon is a very powerful tool for just narrowing things down and getting a lot of value. I think if you're somebody that's like a veteran of the game, a whale, you've got a lot of units, Destiny Order still has value, but it's maybe not as good. But if you're someone that's new to the game, it's absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend it. What's the catch? It's twice as expensive as a normal GSSR. So it's going to cost you 30 paid quartz instead of 15 now. So if you wanted to do both this and the GSSR, you would have to spend 45 paid quartz. So that's maybe the target number that a lot of you guys are going to try to achieve, but it's something to keep in mind for those of you guys who are trying to be a little bit more spendthrifty, maybe not trying to spend a whole lot of money on the game, or maybe trying to save until summer. But again, GSSRs in general are really good value. Destiny Order, you get to narrow it down even more. So I think there's a lot of capability and value in this, though admittedly, there's a lot of value in GSSRs now since they've made the pools a lot smaller. So again, it's up to you if you want to actually go for this or not, but keep in mind there's a couple of notes about this one that will probably still be in play here. Aesc will not, aka Tonalico, will not be pickable as one of the units as she is on banner. Again, you can only pick 1 servant for each of the 9 slots, so the 7 main classes, extra 1 and extra 2. And then players must fill up all 9 slots before they're able to move on in the summoning process. So you have to pick somebody. So I've seen people before where they said like, oh man, there's not a rider I want. What do I do? You have to pick someone. That is the problem that you're going to have. And then out of the multi that you get, only 1 of the 9 servants is guaranteed. You can get more, but only 1 is guaranteed. And again, it can be of the remaining like spins. If you get like the 1 guaranteed and it's like, oh, well, I can still get someone else. It doesn't have to be somebody else from your pool. So that's something to consider. It's just from the general pool at that point, any summonable servants among limited, story locked, or permanent besides Aesc can be summoned at that point. For 4-star and 3-star servants, any summonable servants among limited, story locked, or permanent servants are summonable as well in the Destiny Order. So that's something to understand. You're not going to be able to get units like Artoria Lily or Habitrot that are available via FP summon, but just about everybody else is there. So this one's a little bit of a Wild West. You're going to get who you get, but in terms of maybe getting a second option or a second unit, you're not guaranteed. It's possible they could show up, but it's literally anybody other than the exceptions that we mentioned. So really interesting in that regard as to what can kind of show up. And fandom at least does show you the pools of available units. So it is interesting if you want to kind of make note of that. Particularly, you can actually slot in units like Draco on your Destiny Order that are otherwise not available on the GSSR. So that is also something to keep in mind. I don't know why, but they've done a weird thing with the GSSRs where they've tried to keep the beasts off them. But they are at least available via Destiny Order if you try for them that way. And then last but not least, we have the Servant Strengthening quests, Part 16. So every anniversary, we get a good chunk of upgrades, strengthenings to our units, and usually the best group we'll get all year comes via the anniversary. It doesn't mean you won't get one-off buffs throughout the year that aren't good, but the best grouping is usually at anniversary, so we get a whole lot of high value. For instance, day 1, we literally get the buff that's going to turn Salter into a Black Grail looping monster and the hardest hitting AoE saber. So that should give you at least a little bit of an idea of what we're up with here. The next buff on day 1 is going to be Jaguar Man's buff to her mana burst skill. This one is okay. I think like this helps Jaguar Man, but she's still in a bit of a weird spot. It's a little bit more capability to operate on the forest battlefield and involve things like crit stars. Day 2 is going to be Bradamonte and William Tell here. Bradamonte is going to get a buff to her charge skill here that's going to functionally increase it from 20% up to 30, and then also give her a 30% power mod versus earth enemies, as well as 30% NP gain rate. So definitely a nice buff, really helps make her looping more fluid, more capable, and gives her a little bit of a damage niche to stand out in as well. William Tell is going to end up getting a buff to his arts card. This one's really weird. I'm just going to say it kind of changes the way his marking works, and it basically makes it so that it's a little bit more like consistently applicable. It allows him to be able to exploit this a little bit more frequently as opposed to having to wait for the enemy a lot of the time. So still a good buff for him. Definitely helps out his damage capabilities. It's something that he really needed. Day 3, we get some really nice buffs for Mama Raiko and Hans. So let's start out with the Hans buff here. Actually, at first, it's a buff to his basically his human observation here. It used to just be party crit up of 40%, and now instead it is that, but it's 50% on top of star generation rate increasing for good alignment allies, NP generation rate for balanced alignment allies, and NP damage for allies that are evil. It's also going to increase the critical damage of allies that don't have any of those 3 alignments. So realistically speaking, this is just a buff to everybody that Hans is used in conjunction with, and it's just going to depend on what their alignment is for what buff they get. So definitely a nice upgrade for him. And then essentially to me one of the bigger buffs still coming out of this anniversary is going to be this buff to Mama Raiko here. This is actually a sorely needed buff for her. It's going to be an upgrade to her second skill that is going to give her 30% charge and increase her buster up to 3 turns. With it all being on a 6-turn cooldown, this allows her to operate within the bounds of the Koyanskaya system. This brings her into the modern era of FGO and allows her to become a farmer once again. That was something she was prized for back in the early days of FGO, and she will become another force for that here, particularly given the fact that her third skill is a very effective power mod against servant enemies with earth or sky attribute, as well as demonic enemies. So really a whole lot of niches she can hit, and her having the capability to actually 3-turn effectively and have more uptime on her buffs is certainly welcome. So again, a huge buff for Mama Raiko there, turning her into another farming powerhouse for her. Day 4 is going to include a buff to Karna Lancer and Okita Jetkita, basically Okita Summer Assassin. So the buff here for Karna is going to end up being to his charge skill. It's something that a lot of people wanted for him for a long time. This is going to fix Karna's major issue, which is that his charge skill was originally 25%. It's now going to be 30%. It's a nice flat even amount on a 6-turn cooldown. The same deal, just like with Mama Raiko. Karna comes into the modern era, finally able to work within the Koyanskaya setup, at least double Koyanskaya setup, and works well now with it. It's also going to increase his critical star generation rate and crit stars, as well as critical damage. So just an all-around solid buff. You could maybe still use a little bit in the damage department, but it definitely helps him out a ton. And then the buff to Okita Assassin here is another fantastic one. This is the upgrade to her third skill, and it basically goes from being just a skill that's quick up for 3 turns of 50% with a demerit for defense down on herself to it still has all of that, but now it has NP gauge charge of 30% as well as NP gen of 30% on top of that. In layman's terms, this turns her into a Black Grail Looper again. So really, really nice for her to get another upgrade here that allows her to work in that capacity. Day 5 is going to be an upgrade to Anastasia as well as Kiyohime Lancer. The Anastasia buff basically is a buff to her charge skill. It is sorely needed as it basically originally was 50% charge and had a 60% stun chance for 1 turn to now it stuns all enemies for 1 turn instead of just the 1 enemy that she was targeting, as well as reducing all enemies' arts resistance for 3 turns by 30%. I saw a lot of people that kind of were mixed about this upgrade, but this upgrade's actually really good for her. Not only does it make her more consistent with looping, this actually also allows her to be able to apply her steroids on better turns than she could before. So this does enhance her damage quite a bit. This does enhance her looping capability quite a bit. Black Grail is absolutely on the cards for her because of this change, and I do think it's a really, really solid upgrade. Kiyohime Lancer ends up getting a buff to her first skill that originally just reduced the enemy's critical attack chance for 3 turns by 30% to now basically it's still going to do that, but it inflicts burn for 5 turns to them, and it will charge her own gauge by 20%, as well as granting a self debuff on attack buff for 3 turns that will inflict the spread fire status that increases burn damage by 50% additionally. So the burn up that she gets for 5 turns is 1,000, so it's just going to be a really nice upgrade for her. Also keep in mind, she does inflict burn with her Noble Phantasm, so she gets a little bit more firepower here, but more importantly, she gets a charge skill that she just sorely needed to kind of hang with some of the other single target Lancers. Now on day 6, we end up getting a buff to Summer Abby and Mandricardo. So Summer Abby's buff is going to end up being one here to her second skill. It is the Mass Hysteria buff that turns it into Midsummer Nights. Originally, the skill was her Terror skill. It also reduced defense by 20%. And to a large degree, this is still going to be the case, but what they've added to it now is that she gets Buster performance up of 3 turns. This is a 30% increase, and again, this is on a 6-turn cooldown, so yes, in a Koyanskaya setup, you can double the skill up. This just makes her damage more consistent, especially since she was such a debuff-centric unit. This gives her now a multi-turn buff that she can carry through the waves with her and allow her to kind of stack this over a 3-turn duration and basically improve her damage. This is a sorely needed buff to Abby Summer that makes her more consistent. Mandricardo, on the other hand, here gets a buff to his Brink Shot skill. Now, originally, this skill, the way it worked was that whenever he would attack for the 1 attack, once he had it triggered, he would get basically 50% attack up, and then he would kill himself at the end. So, not the best scenario, but the upgrade here is going to increase the attack for an entire turn rather than just 1, and it's also going to increase his own critical damage for 1 turn. In addition, it's going to delay the kind of ability to kill himself until the end of the turn. So Mandricardo gets an entire turn out before offing himself rather than just 1 attack. It is a much, much nicer and more usable version of this skill. It's a huge quality of life improvement for Mandricardo in that regard. And then the final day, and this was one I still couldn't believe at the time, was a buff to Squirtoria and to Gawain. So basically, in the end, we ended up getting a NP interlude for Gawain here. Certainly a nice upgrade for him, as he really needed this to hang with some of the other units out there. Particularly, obviously, has strong competition now from like Barghast and other units. But in general, I think the upgrade to Salter just blew him away still. But it's still a good upgrade. It's going to increase the amount of damage he does. He now skill seals enemies with his NP. Oh, sorry, he already did. But now, in addition, he is going to increase his own critical damage of Buster cards by 50% on Sunlight Battlefield for 3 turns. And critical star absorption of Buster cards by 300% on Sunlight Battlefield for 3 turns. So it's just making him more synergistic. It's absolutely like linchpinning on that Sunlight Battlefield. But since he can bring the sun within his own kit, that is not a huge concern for him. And Squirtoria, they actually ended up taking the game's best looper and giving her charge. I'm still really not sure why they decided to do this. I'll take it. It's absolutely fantastic buff. But if anything, to me, Squirtoria needed damage, not more refund or charge capability, and yet they did it. So now this just improves the scenarios that she can be used in. You basically can have her maxed out with a mana loading append and the 30% charge, and you functionally turned her into being able to start from a 50% starting charge standpoint without even the assistance of a support. So starting her out from 0 and getting her to loop is not difficult at all, as she is, again, already somebody that just had insane refund potential. So now she's got a 30% charge skill. She also gets sure hit for 3 turns thanks to this buff, in addition to the arts up of 3 turns and the party-wide defense that she already had on this skill. This just turns this skill into an absolutely cracked version of itself, and frankly, it just makes Squirtoria even more of a dominant force for boss killing and draining, even in comparison to what she already was. So again, it was a truly insane upgrade, and that is gonna be a wrap for all of the anniversary coverage. We've now covered all of the banners, all of the GSSRs for you, as well as all of the strengthenings for you. Let me know which banner you'll be rolling on, which GSSR you'll be picking, and which of these servant strengthenings you guys feel is actually the strongest. I think I know the obvious answer for most people, but I'll be curious to hear which one you guys are at least looking most forward to. Anyways, let me hear about your thoughts for Anniversary 8. Good luck with your summons, and again, may the courts be with you. Have a good one. I will see you guys live on Twitch to cover it. And again, I'll see you guys later. Hey, if you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe, right?